Hey guys, Tom here from Build That Sound, and today this is actually my first sound design tutorial. I'm going to be walking you through how exactly to create a kind of trance pad in FM8. FM8 has got to be one of the most underrated synths out there. FM stands for frequency modulation, and that the way in which FM synthesis is different to stuff like Massive and Sylenth and all those synths, which are subtractive synthesizers, is that if we go into this expert tab here, it might, if you've never used FM8 before, then this might look a bit complicated, but trust me, every synth that's new to you looks complicated when you first look at it. So if you're used to like kind of Sylenth and Massive, this like A, B, C, D, E, and F are oscillators, just like you have in Sylenth or Massive. And the difference between kind of Massive and FM synthesis is that these oscillators can send sound to the audio output, but also these oscillators can actually modulate and change each other. So as you can see here, oscillator E is being fed back into oscillator C, and that's modulating it in different ways. And I'll not get into that too much because there's plenty of videos out there showing you the basics, but I'm just going to go over how to make this basic sound. Before I show you the sound, guys, these videos are free and they always will be free. So if you could support me just by subscribing to my YouTube channel or following me on Twitter, which should be in the description, then do so. So this is a sound I'm going to be showing you how to make anyway. So as you can tell, it's kind of like a trancey pad type sound. There's no outside effects other than FM8, apart from sidechain compression on the kick, obviously. But all the effects and stuff are done within FM8, and there's a lot of effects, and it's just an amazing synth, guys. So we'll start for the master tab. So we have voices in polyphony to 64. We've got in unison, we've got our voices at 8, and dynamic button is switched on. You can probably tell there's a lot of detune in the sound. This is on 66 up. We've got pan up to 64. Portamento isn't on, so we can leave that alone. The auto button is on. We have as you can in the arpeg. I can never say this word. Arpeggiator. You can see the BPM, which is just the BPM in Ableton. It doesn't really matter what DAW you're using, like FL or Ableton or Cubase or Logic or whatever you're using. It doesn't matter. You can get FM8 as a plugin for any DAW. Analog is down to 0, and digital is up to 100. And what that does is kind of give it the bright, trancey kind of sound. Whereas if you have this analog up, it gives it kind of like a random, obviously more analog sound. So that's it for the master tab. I've already showed you the expert tab, but we'll go through each one and setting each one up. I know it looks complicated, but just copy what's on the screen and you'll get the sound, and I'll try and explain a bit as we go through. So first off, we'll start off with oscillator A, and you get the screen up just by clicking on it. The ratio is set to 1. There's no offset. It's a sine wave, and this is the envelope here. Just copy the envelopes off the screen. That would be the easiest thing to do. You can see the numbers here, and just copy that exact shape, and that's the envelope of that sound wave. And A is feeding back onto itself. So I told you earlier that different oscillators can modulate each other. You can also make an oscillator modulate itself. So basically, if this was turned up to 100, then you get kind of well, you get an awful sound. But the sine wave is modulating itself, so it's more like a saw wave. So that's turned up to 60, and you just change that by dragging up and down, and it's going to the audio output at 47. And then we'll move on to oscillator B. It's feeding back on itself by 24. It's a sawtooth wave. The ratio is here, it's 2.0112. The envelope is there, you can just copy that. Like I said, it's feeding back on itself by 24, so just drag that to 24, 25, it's just personal preference really. And then it's going down to this audio output, which you can change by dragging as well, or change with this thing. And that's going out to the audio output by 77 or 78, whatever. And it's being panned. It's being panned 31, which I think that'll be, it's positive, so it'll be to the right. Yeah, it'll be to the right. And then that's pretty much it for oscillator B. Oscillator C is feeding back on itself by 14, and it's going to the audio out at 42. The waveform is a third formant, as you can see there, and the ratio is at 1.0013, and the envelope's there, you can just change that yourself. Audio output at 42, that's it for oscillator C. And then we have oscillator D, which is again modulating itself by 27, which is this one. And it's a sine wave, ratio 1, envelope's there. It's also modulating C by 71, as you can see there. And it's also modulating oscillator E by 79. So that the oscillator D isn't actually being sent to the audio output. So if we turn all these oscillators off, all you'll hear is the kick drum. Yeah, all you can hear is the kick drum. And that's because oscillator D, instead of being sent to the output, it's just modulating the other oscillators. So we'll move on to oscillator E. This is a sine wave. It's got a ratio of 1.0001, and this is the envelope here. You can just copy that. Hopefully, you can, if you put it on HD or whatever, you can see these envelopes more clearly, and you'll be able to shape them to what it's like on the screen. So oscillator E is modulating oscillator C by 77, as you can see there, and it's also being sent to the output at 59, which is the same as changing up here. Oscillator F is modulating itself by 27. It's at a ratio of 1.9851. It's a sawtooth wave, and the envelope is here. And it's going to the audio output at 85, and it's being panned to the left by 29. And that, like it's similar to oscillator B, except it's the other ear. It's being panned to the other ear, and that can really beefen up your sound. That's not really a professional audio term, beefen, but yeah, it makes the sound more full. So that's it for the expert tab. I think the only thing we have left now is the effects tab. Like I mentioned earlier, FM8 has some amazing effects, and we've got two EQ effects, equalization, and then we have a reverb effect and a chorus delay effect. So we'll start off with the shelving EQ. Just copy this off the screen. It's boosting the set it to boost the lower end just a tiny bit and take out some of the middle frequencies. And then peak EQ is also doing a similar thing to the low frequency. You can just change this by pulling it up. And then it's also boosting like really high frequencies as well. Like moving these values just basically, it's just the same as having a normal EQ and an ADAW. And then we go to reverb, which is obviously on, times at 52, brightness at 56, treble at 59, dry wet is at 36, and that just changes how much reverb you actually hear. Chorus delay time is at 14, low cut is at 35, high cut is at 100, feedback at 13, mod rate 13, mod depth 59, dry wet at 35. And I think that pretty much covers it for this sound. Yeah, that's pretty much it for the sound. So yeah, you should get something similar to that. You can obviously like tweak a few things, like for your own personal preference. Like you might want to change stuff in digital, or the amount of detune, amount of voices, etc. So you might want to mess around with it a bit and try and make it sound different. But that's like a really basic example of a trance pad. You can also add like other effects outside, but hopefully you've learnt a bit more about FM8 today. Like I said, it's different, and to be honest, it's more advanced than other synths like Massive and Sylenth, which are also good synths, to be fair. And I think that pretty much covers it for this tutorial. So if you got any use out of this video at all, please subscribe and follow me on Twitter. Hopefully you learned something. If not, you've just wasted like 10 minutes. And that pretty much covers it. So I will see you next time.